Right, good evening everybody. Welcome to the Audit and Accounts Committee meeting. Right, first off is the fire evacuation procedure. There are no fire alarms scheduled for this evening. Therefore, if the fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the building immediately. The fire exit is located at the rear of this room. Go down, well, there's no stairs. In fact, the fire exit is located at the main doors of the building, and we would meet in the War Memorial Park. Okay. Now, please note that this meeting is being webcast live on the internet. The webcast will also be published to YouTube after the meeting. Yep. Okay, and please, can you have your mobiles on silent or on off? Thank you. Right. So item one, I've got two apologies. Councillor Miller is replaced by Councillor Contecha, and Councillor Tom is replaced by Councillor Tustain. And Councillor Poland has just arrived, and your name tag is right there. Okay. So it would seem only one of us has failed to get enough fuel to attend this meeting. Okay, so on to item 3, urgent matters. Now I actually have got something to say under this item, and it's due to the lateness of the reports, which were not published 5 clear working days before the meeting. I have agreed to take items 5 and 6 for the following reason. The audit of the 2021 accounts is still ongoing, and the finance teams and external auditors are working at pace to complete the accounts audit and have the auditor's opinion issued before the 30th of September statutory sign-off date. In order to provide the very latest position on the accounts and the auditor's report, there has been a delay in providing the reports to ensure that the latest up-to-date position can be reported. Now, I took that decision on the basis that it's an alternative to having to have another meeting in October. The challenge we have now is that Ernst & Young cannot be with us, so we're going to have an input from them on technology. Which we're now endeavouring to do. Right. So, item 4 is minutes of the last meeting. I'm going to take it. Oh, right, where are I missed out number 2. Any declarations of interest? Nope, that's item 2. So, we've done urgent matters. So, on to minutes of the last meeting. Do I have your agreement that this is a fair reflection of that, what happened at that meeting? Agreed. Great. Right, so we then go on to item 5, which is the Ernst & Young initial audit report results for the year ending the 31st of March 20. That should be March 2020. No? 21. Where are I? 20. Oh, yes. It's the pandemic. I'm a year out. 21. So
we're going to hand directly over to EY, our external auditors, to go through their initial audit results report. And as the chair has already noted, that EY are not physically present this evening, so we've got an alternative in place where the auditors will speak to the committee, but you won't be able to see them. But we will be able to relay questions back and forth between ourselves and them, so they can answer them. So I'll hand over to Maria.
Thank you very much, and we can hear you loud and clear as well, so hopefully we'll be able to hear your questions as they come through. So for the committee, just for those who can hear me but not see me, it's Maria Grindley, your audit engagement partner here. And what I'd like to do is just set the context of the audit for this year. And then I'm going to ask Larissa to update you on progress made since this report came into papers on the 16th of September, and just to pick out some of the key messages within the report. So firstly, if I could just say that, last year when we sat and we said, it's been a challenging year because we had a few months of the pandemic that hit, and that was after the year end, just before the year end probably, because as Chairman said earlier, March 2020, we were already feeling the impacts. This year, this 31st of March 21, the whole year was impacted by the pandemic, for your team and obviously ours. And I think it's testament to the hard work on both sides that we are at this point at the end of September, where we pretty much completed, a huge amount of the audit. Your teams have got together the financial statements, and we're able to come to this meeting and bring you a position which is a really good place to be at this stage, given, as I say, that the whole year was impacted by the pandemic. We found ways of working together without having to sit next to each other during those lockdown periods, and we've found workarounds pretty much for everything that we would ordinarily have done face to face, very much looking over each other's screens, and I think that's just testament to the hard work that both teams have put in. So I just wanted to reflect that. What I'm going to do now is just ask Larissa if she wouldn't mind just taking us through some of the key messages within the report for you, Chairman and Committee, so that obviously we'll then at the end be happy to take any questions. Larissa.
Thank you, Maria. So I'm going to take you through the key points from our report, which you will have seen previously. And our report is located in the supplement agenda. And I'm going to start. The usual update we give is on the reason for the changes. Reality is based on prior year figures, and the update is just because of the draft accounts being made available to us for.
I think Larissa, I would try to go off camera if you can, because you're cutting in and out. But I'll take over from Larissa for now, and then we can go back to Larissa when she is able to come back. She's actually got the camera on, and I know actually there's no point having the camera on because Suzanne, you're the only one who can see us. So what Larissa was basically doing was talking you through the executive summary. So this is on page 9 of your supplementary papers, and just pointing to the materiality. So we do a planning materiality at the start of the audit, and then we update when we have the final statements, the final draft statements from you. And we have to, one of the auditing standards is a requirement that we have to point out our materiality and the basis of that to you. And that's why we're pointing to that in this report. I've talked about the issues with working through the pandemic at the start, and also the fact that the timescale was moved back from the end of July to the end of September. We do have and expect to have audits that are going after the end of September, purely because there's been a lot of challenges, as I say, for our clients not being able to get everything together on time, and also just struggling really with juggling the audit as well as everything else that they're trying to do. So we are in a good place here at Basingstoke and Dean, being able to get to this part of our report. If I carry on going through then on the next page of our report, I'll just take you through the executive summary primarily. So on page, I'm just trying to see on the papers, page 10 of your supplementary papers, we talk about a scope update, we talk about the issues that we consider, and just really ask that as you, and I know you'll have read your papers, so this is on page 6, our page number of the report. We also set out the status of the audit and talk about the various areas of work that we're completing currently. and each of those bullets I know has progressed, and we are looking to tie each of them up over in the next few days or so. Some of these bullets that are outstanding are things that we do right at the end of the audit anyway. So things like the receipt of the management representation letter, the completion of the final file review, subsequent events procedures. We do those just before we sign. So the fact that there are bullets on this list isn't pointing to the fact that we haven't done something, early enough that we should have done. I think it's fair to say, as we move forward, that there are a couple of things I just want to point out to members. And I know I talked about the value for money changes and the value for money commentary when we brought the plan through to you. But I think what I'd like to do is just point out that what that means is that we're going to be issuing you the auditor report, which includes the opinion. And then at a later point, we will issue you the annual audit, the auditor's annual letter, or the auditor's annual report, as it's now called, and that will include the value for money commentary. Those of you who are around in previous years will remember the auditor's annual letter, and that just basically summed up the year, basically said we gave an opinion on this day, we did all these things at this point, but the auditor's annual report also includes a value for money commentary, and that will be coming. We've got 3 months from the date of signing the opinion to issue the value for money commentary. I expect we will do it very soon after issuing the opinion. I don't expect we will hold it for 3 months after. We've already done the majority of the work in that regard, so I think we're in a very good place to issue that soon after. The final thing I just wanted to flag for you with timing is the fact that the whole of government accounts guidance is not going to be issued to us or to you until the end of December. That's something that none of us can do anything about, but once we have that guidance, we will have to do the whole of government accounts work. And what we'll need to do is, at that point, we will need to issue our certificate. Now, the certificate is a document that just says, basically, we've completed all of our work and the audit is now closed. So there's kind of a 3-stage timing. So the first stage is the opinion, completing our audit work on the accounts and issuing the opinion. The second stage then is the auditor's annual report, which will include the value for money commentary. And then the third stage is once we can do the whole of government accounts, we'll issue the certificate. That's an issue that's a national issue. So you're not alone in that, and that's not anything that we can do anything about particularly. So I hope that's helpful. I guess the only other thing is just to maybe, now Larissa's back on, to see whether, Larissa, you wanted to add anything from the point of view of detailed progress on the audit and the outstanding areas. But obviously, if you can't come through onto the meeting, that's fine.
Apologies, everyone. My internet dropped.
Okay.
In terms of detail, Maria, I was going to add about the prior period adjustment on car park valuations, if you haven't touched upon that.
I haven't covered that yet, no.
Right, so since the date of the initial audit results report, there have been some developments, and specifically there have been updated valuations. So the prior period adjustment might not stand when the audit is completed. And I think that was the main update. In terms of the pension liability audit, we received a letter from the auditors of the pension fund. And the other issue that is being worked on at the moment is with regards to the new requirements of ISA 540 estimates, auditing estimates. And that is being progressed by our pension specialists.
Okay. Thank you, Larissa. I covered all the other stuff. I covered timelines, value for money commentary, and whole of government accounts. So we've covered that. So we're happy to take questions. I think it's probably a good place to start.
Yeah. First, Councillor James, then Councillor McCormick.
Yeah, not a very technical question. It's really just a request. I noticed in the room today there's 4 new councillors. I don't normally do audit and accounts either. And some of this is sort of there's an awful lot of acronyms in here, and of course PPE, your acronym was probably the most famous use of PPE until last year, now it's not. So for the reader, particularly members of the public, and we like all our things to be open to the public to look and digest and consider, it wasn't, it's very difficult to read. And things like, even in the first, I think it's on page 12, it's hard to see because it's printed above words, disclosure of fair value hierarchy of CCLA property fund investment of 9 million as level 2 instead of level 1 as per the draft accounts. Now, I'm not sure what that means going from level 2 to level 1 for an investment fund. It's probably something to get someone very excited on the Casio keyboard in certain circles, Casio calculator, I should say. But I didn't really understand it. So could you explain that bit to me? And can next year we have something really very much more plain English?
Unfortunately, there is some terminology we have to use. What we've tried to do is where we're using things like PPE or IP, we've tried to make sure they're expanded first. So if you go to page 17 of our report, for example, we talk about valuation of property, plant and equipment with PPE in brackets and investment property with IP. Fully understand the point about the acronyms. It is frustrating, but what we do try to do is explain them in the first use of them in our reports. But there are a number through the accounts and also through the way the kind of audit work that we do. So I do, I do understand the frustration with that. I think, Larissa, if I can ask you to just explain the difference around the level 1, level 2 and the decision around that.
Yes, so sure. A fair value hierarchy disclosure is a requirement under the code, and there are 3 levels, level 1, 2, 3, obviously. Level 1 means that an investment is actively traded in an active market and the authority has access to the price quoted at the reporting date. Level 2 means that there's a use of observable inputs and the investment is not actively traded and the authority does not have access to the price at the reporting date, which is the case for the CCLA investment. So the fact that there is a notice period of 90 days, it makes this investment less liquid, so that triggered the reclassification.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Sue, do you want to reply?
Yeah, so fully understand the issue raised by Councillor James. We do, because we present both the audit report and the final accounts together, at the back of the actual statement of accounts is a full glossary of terms, but I appreciate you don't necessarily expect to have to flick between 2 different documents, so we might have to think about how we present that in future. It could be something in terms of the covering report that actually issues some of those abbreviations so that you actually have them easily to hand, but we'll take that away and look to see how we can improve that.
Yeah, Councillor McCormick.
Thank you, Chair. Pages 17 to 21, Chapter 3, Audit Report. There's a heading at the top highlighted, this is an example report. Our audit report will not be completed and issued until the work is complete. We're being asked to consider, in a statutory time scale, an audit report by the 30th of September, 6 months after the close of the financial year, and yet we don't actually have the report. How is that legal? We don't actually have the report. We've just got an example report and we've got appendices. How are we supposed to sign off on it?
To be clear, if I may, through you, Chair, you don't sign off on the audit report. I do, so that's not a report you have to sign off on. I don't provide that report until the audit is complete and until I've got your approved statements and all the adjustments have been made. The reason for that is clearly until we do our final checks, there could be something in there that I need to raise within my report. So, for example, and I know she won't, but if Sue suddenly decided she's going to change some of the figures or put something in there that isn't correct, then clearly my report would have to change. So I don't issue my report until the very end, and it's my report to sign off on, not yours. So what we do is we provide you a draft report so you can see the sort of wording and language we're going to use. It doesn't tend to change much from this, so this is as close as we can get to what we think we're going to issue. And as I say, I would only sign that once everything's done. And at that point, I would sign this report and issue it as your final. And the only changes to that would be, as I say, if something unusual happened. If that did happen, I would need to come back through committee anyway. If there was something unusual, something unexpected from this committee to the point of signing, I would have to come back through committee. We wouldn't just go ahead and sign without mentioning it to you.
Councillor McCormick.
So what is it we're expected to decide tonight then? If we don't have the report, and mention was made by yourself, Chair, about some statutory deadline, what is it? What is our statutory duty as a council tonight? And we've just been told, oh, we don't have to sign it. Is this just a report for noting?
Yeah, so the second item, the next agenda item is the statutory accounts, the annual statement of accounts. The audit and accounting regulations say that we have to put up our latest set of accounts as at the 30th of September. In an ideal world, they are with an audit opinion, which is what we try and get signed by the 30th of September. But we still have to publish the latest version with them, either with the audit opinion or with a statement to say that the audit opinion is still pending. We have to do that by the 30th of September. In an ideal world, we want to put up the signed, the accounts that actually have the audit opinion and the signature of myself and the chair of this committee. And what we're asking you this evening is, when we come on to the next paper, is that we will explain where we are on the accounts. I think that, unless Maria wants to correct me, I think what we're saying is we are substantially complete, and on the next paper we'll be seeking approval of the committee to accept the accounts as they stand at the current time, and for myself and the chair of the committee to sign off the final versions of the accounts, subject to there being no material change to the information that's being presented this evening. So it's not this paper that you're being asked to give approval for, it's the next paper that has the recommendations on it that you as committee are being asked to sign off. So that statutory sort of deadline of the 30th is a requirement on us in one way or another to publish our accounts with or without the audit opinion. So as Maria noted in her introduction, there are a number of councils where their audits haven't even started yet.